Hey, what's happening? Tim with Nomad Trading. What's up, guys? It's been a minute. I actually just kind of wanted to do this because I missed you guys. I don't know if anybody will join in, but I haven't done a live stream in a while. Markets have been crazy the past couple of days. They're on fire. Somebody put the damn fire out. Yeah, I get it. I feel you. My longer term account has been feeling the pain. Um, so I thought I'd jump on here talk about some of those stocks, what's been going on with them. Um, Maybe some of you guys will join us and tell me what's going on with you guys, how you guys have been faring in these couple of down days. Been depressing, I know, in the market. Not ideal. A lot of selling going on. So anyway, first of all, I'll talk about. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that wonderful YouTube algorithm stuff if you have not already. Check out my other videos. If you don't have a stock scanner at this point and you're wondering how do people find stocks that are hot, the stocks that are moving in the market during the day, you need a stock scanner. I have a video. Check it out. Just made it the other day, so it should be pretty easy to find if you just go to my homepage and look at my most recent video, and it's free. It's a beta test. I think it's awesome as far as like a free. I mean, it's a good quality stock scanner for free. How do you beat that? So they are doing just a beta test. At some point, they're going to start charging, but they did say that they came out just the other day and said that they're going to have a free version. And I don't think the free version looks too bad. I could probably make the free version work. So, and the version that you pay for is only, I want to say $20 a month. So like, what is that? $240 a year compared to a lot of the other scanning companies that are $2,000 a year. So anyway, I'll probably end up becoming an affiliate of them just because I like it and I use it, and I think it's super cheap and it works compared to a lot of the other scanners that are expensive. So if you're starting out and you're watching this and you don't have, you only have a few $1,000s to trade with, that's been my complaint all along. If there's no scanner that's included in your platform, then and you have a few $1,000s to start out trading with, you don't want to spend $2,000 on a scanner or even $1,000 on a scanner. That's crazy. You need that money to trade with. So that's what I talked to the guys at Charts Watcher about, and they said, yeah, we plan to do it inexpensively for traders like that, and so far so good. That's what it's looking like. The pricing that came out the other day, it looks like is actually going to be a lot more affordable. So anyway, that's my spiel on them. I'm not an affiliate with them right now. I don't make anything on it, but check out the video and get it for free if you don't have a scanner already. Anyway. Probably one of the few winners today was CTIB. Not so much a winner now, as it's gone all the way back down pretty much where it came from. Doesn't have news on E-Trade. I don't know if there was news or not. I did not trade it because it was up, looks like, mainly yesterday and then kind of faded all day today. But it's one of the only ones that popped up on my scanner as being up today. I was trying to short it over in this area, but of course no shares to short anywhere. Another one, and if you look at my stuff, so I did take a $500 loss today. Part of that was just because I was holding some stocks for more of like a swing play that after the last couple of days, it destroyed the charts. So I don't know if you guys can relate to that or not, but yeah, the charts on a couple of my stocks that I was looking to swing after the down days in the market, they just gapped way down and destroyed the breakouts I was looking for. Could they go back up? Yeah, I don't know, but I tried to play the odds. So a couple of them I cut, which cost me some losses. Then I had a try on FI, which was another one that was up today at one point. Let's zoom in real quick on this. So it shot up, I believe, got halted. Yes, it did. It got halted. It came back down, crossed VWAP, got on my radar again as it got up in here, and I bought it up in here looking for it to break out because it had, shot up so quickly here, and it was one of the few halt plays and one of the few stocks that were up. So I thought, hey, in a down market, this thing is curling up. So this could be the one everybody piles on as it looks to break out past the previous high of day. Over here on the near future, this is a 1 year chart. Each candle's 1 day for 1 year. And so we had possible resistance around 392, which is where it's sitting right now, but up in here it was well beyond that. So I thought, hey, it could really run if everybody piles on this. All the day traders looking to make some quick money. There's not much running if they pile on this. Anyway, didn't work out so good. So it didn't break out. It faded back down. Ended up taking a loss on that. Over here on the, let me get this. On the CMEG account, CMEG account, these were both dip buys. I actually missed the huge dip. Please don't hate me. I slept through it. The huge dip this morning. I was in bed. I was up super late last night and didn't end up getting up this morning for pre-market. I missed the giant dip, and then my phone kept buzzing and going off repeatedly. And then that kind of woke me up. I was like, something's going on. There must be a big sell-off or something. Either a sell-off or the market's skyrocketing, one of the two. So I better get up. So I got up, but at that point I had missed the really big dip on a couple of these. But I did capitalize. I did make 300 of the 500 that I had to realize in the other account. Made 300 of that back day trading over here, and I actually did make a couple hundred on a trade on this account too, because I was down like 700 and something. So would have been a $500 a day as far as like day trading goes, but the FI loss, and then the having to cut some of my swing trades that are just busted now hurt this account. And overall, I'm sure, like most of you, that my swings and the stuff that I'm holding longer term, definitely down a couple grand from a few days ago till now in my accounts. Depressing. I did buy, let's look at some of these. One that's down right now big that I've been thinking about dip buying, but I have not, is Workhorse. So there was a contract with USPS that ended up going to a different company. Who was it that won it? Some THCB or something like that, maybe. Is that what it is? Yeah, THCB. That's who won the contract. So they're up pretty good at this point from 16-ish, 17-ish to 22 as of now. Not a huge jump, but considering this downtrending chart and where it was at one point today, down all the way to $14 to climb all the way back green and be in the 22 range, pretty good. But Workhorse, however, I don't know much about this company. If anybody is watching this, got a few people in here. Okay. Just going to type in here. Got Joe P. What's up, Joe P? Anyway, real quick, Workhorse. If anybody's watching this while we're doing this, jump in the chat if you know anything about Workhorse. I don't know much about them. Thought about dip buying this, but why? I don't understand why, on the daily chart, it passed all this possible support and is all the way down here based on that one contract being lost. So was Workhorse's entire business model based around this one contract with the Postal Service? I don't understand why it's down that much. So anyway, I haven't dip bought that one just because of that. It makes me nervous not knowing anything about it. I'll probably research them later. Kind of sitting at possible final support now. If it gets below that, who knows. But still, bypassing all of that makes me wonder Was it just that overbought, or is their whole business model based around one business deal with the postal service or something? I don't understand. So have not dip bought it yet. I kind of want to, but I haven't yet. I did dip buy Tesla. I've got a like 680 or so average on that because, like I said, I woke up too late to miss the giant dips. Oh, I missed a huge dip and everything. I did end up getting in some of it here, and then bought some up here. Bought this dip. I bought all the, like on the 1 minute chart, all these dips I've kind of bought one share of here and there. But unfortunately, I also bought some of them in the higher dips. So my average is like 680 on that. And then CCIV, I bought the dips on that. I'll get back to you in just a second, Joe. Just in a moment. CCIV, I also bought dips on this. To me, it's pretty oversold. Obviously, it's down because the official valuation and whatnot came out considerably lower. If you want to know the details of this, check out Meet Kevin's channel. Big fan of Meet Kevin. He's got a good video he did last night talking about exactly why this giant drop happened. But anyway, Tesla. Oh, certain. Just to circle back to Tesla also. Another reason I have a higher average is this. I just realized this. I started buying this yesterday on the big down day yesterday. So it had gone from way up here. If you look on the daily chart, this thing was pushing 900. It got down to 800 and then kind of fell off a cliff yesterday. So as it fell off the cliff yesterday, I started buying. I bought a couple of shares on the big washout there. So not anticipating it being, another gigantic washout and, making this look like nothing. This looked big at the time. I didn't anticipate that. So that's another reason why my share average is a little bit higher. Now I don't want to chase it too much, but just looking for it to bounce. Tesla is beloved by many, and it's already bounced a lot. I'm already up several $100s on it just on the small position I have. So anyway, I wanted to circle back to that because it hit me that I started buying it yesterday because I was thinking in my head, like, why is my average up that high when I was buying only dips today? And then I remembered, oh yeah, I started buying it yesterday when it was at like 700 and something. Anyway, CCIV, been buying the dips on this, missed the giant washout, ended up making some money on this move, then bought the VWAP bounce thinking it would hold and go up. It did not. Thought about cutting it, but I still feel like it will bounce back up. So I'm still holding it. I actually bought a little bit more down here in the right at like 35.15 or so. So brought my average down. We'll see what that does. I don't know if I'm not married to it. Not sure if I'm going to hold it. I just feel like it's pretty oversold considering the valuation from what some of the math I've seen other people do puts it somewhere around 37.50. So I feel like anything below that could be a bargain because there still is a lot of good things going for it. And Fisker has, they expect to have cars on the road possibly this summer. So I'm okay with holding this longer term. So it seems like an exaggerated move, this gigantic drop, basically almost a 50% haircut just based on the lower valuation. So anyway, may end up holding that longer term. If it really washes out, I might cut it. We'll see. I'm not married to it, but looking for a possible bounce at least back up here to 43 or so. Hopefully tomorrow. And then I'll kind of decide, do I want to take some off or do I think it'll bounce more or hold it longer term? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Anyway. Too high a float, yes, true, awesome. So, yeah, this is another one. Washed out this morning, HYLN. Made good money on this. On this move here. This was a really good day. Made a $1,500 or so on just that one day into the next day. Thought it would continue and it didn't. Now it's down here. It seems to me that it's a little bit oversold, so I took a small position in that to swing. We'll see. It's one of those ones that like it doesn't seem like it moves as well as it should. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that either. I just feel like it's getting, it's put in a pretty good bottom down in this area. Had this nice day here, put in a good bottom, and this is on a day where the market's been giving back a lot. So kind of felt like it could have a decent swing potential. We'll see. Overall markets, just wanted to touch on that real quick also. This is what that looks like. So it's not even that big of a pullback. Everybody's feeling the pain because the EV and tech sectors and all that have been hit harder. But if you're in the recovery sector like CCL, Carnival, I own some of this. So this had a decent day. It didn't plummet like the rest of them anyway. So there are some stocks that are still hanging around. It just was, the overall market did drop, but there's hope so far. Let me zoom out just a little bit. So if you look at like the 1 year, this is 1 year of SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, which is basically a representation of the S&P or somewhat of a representation of the overall market. So as you see, like this is the pandemic here. This big dip here. We recovered all that. So we've had dips that were bigger than like this dip. Even this dip here, slightly bigger. So this is not even that big of a problem at this point. I won't get worried anyway. We bounced off the 50 moving average here back in late January. If we break that and start heading down and then, break this possible support, maybe we'll end up seeing a big significant pullback. But at this point, not that big a deal. Just a little bit of bleeding. It hurts all of our accounts, of course, but not terrifying as of yet. Okay, back to get to Joe. Thanks for the couple people that liked it. Joe, what'd you want to know about? You're welcome for the videos. What'd you want to know about CMEG? As far as CMEG goes, that's probably, I get comments on that a lot. There's a lot of people that really get offended by the fact that I made a video showing the fees of CMEG. But the reality is CMEG's fees are crazy compared to brokers that are free. I do realize that they provide a service that there is no competition for, and they know that also. Okay, there's not other competition. You can have peer-to-peer brokers. There are peer-to-peer brokers that get around PDT, but those are not direct access brokers. So as far as like good brokers that are solid direct access brokers that you can get around the PDT rule with, CMEG is it, and they know that. So that's why they can charge whatever they want. And when you look at their fees side by side with some other companies, they're not terrible compared to some other companies, but those are companies with higher fees. When I look at them compared to, say, E-Trade, which I'm not even sure I'm on board with E-Trade anymore with the way that their service has been lacking and them getting rid of their scanner and stuff like that. But just to compare them to CMEG, I don't pay anything, like my account that's over PDT, like this account has got, depending on like right now, it's sitting at like $29.5, so it's over PDT, right? I don't pay virtually anything for this account. Is there maybe some tiny ECN fees or something? Perhaps, but I never notice them. It's never enough to notice. I don't pay any commissions. I can trade it as many times as I want. The platform fee is like $100, but it gets credited if you trade, I believe it's 12 times a quarter. And I think they count your entry as one trade and your exit as one trade. So, you can do that with your eyes closed and get the platform fee waived. So if you compare that to CMEG where it cost me $90 to wire money into CMEG. There's been trades with CMEG where I've taken a couple thousand shares, which, those are bigger positions, but they weren't huge money-wise positions. They were just a couple thousand shares of whatever, like a $3 stock or something. I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, long story short, I've paid like $200 on a couple of trades in one day with CMEG between ECN fees, commissions, and I'm not talking about overtrading. I'm not talking about buying and selling a stock 25 times in a day. I'm talking about in and out of a stock a few times with a couple thousand shares, and between the ECN fees and the commissions, it was like a $200 in fees day. That's a big deal, I think, personally, because I could trade the exact same thing in E-Trade or any of the big U.S. brokers. Mind you, they have PDT. I get it. So, I get what you're saying, but to me, it's a big deal. If you're a new trader and you're trying to overcome the fact that it's extremely difficult to profitably trade anyway, like 95% of traders lose money. Some say 90%. I almost think it's more than that if you day trade regularly. It's definitely a huge percentage. So you got to overcome that, and then on top of that, you're paying these crazy fees. $90 for me. Your bank will be different. Every bank wiring in is different. Wiring out is $60 for CMEG. For my bank, wiring in is $90. So you're talking about $90 wired in, $125 platform fee. By the time you add up the commissions and the ECN fees, super expensive. You can look at it all, even with a promo code, still super expensive. And I do not trade that much. I trade a few times a day typically. So for me to be paying, thousands of dollars in commissions in a year is a lot when you only trade a couple times a day or a few times a day in that account, sometimes not at all in that account. I wonder what my commissions are. I'm going to go over there and look and see, just out of curiosity. Anyway, so does that answer your question about CMEG and how I feel about it? They have great, their customer service is about as crappy as all the brokers. Their executions are great. So the things that are good about them, their executions are great. You can get in and out of a trade. There's no glitches. I run CMEG side by side with E-Trade pretty much all day, every day. And I'll have glitches and issues with E-Trade and none with Sterling Pro with CMEG. So great executions. You can get in and out lightning fast without wondering what's going on with your order, waiting for it to fill like sometimes with E-Trade. So they don't get overwhelmed for whatever reason like E-Trade does. So great executions, lightning fast. They have more borrows. If you like to short, they have more borrows than like E-Trade or some other bigger brokers that I've dealt with. So that's a good thing. A lot of times they'll have shares to short on some stocks. However, they did have tons of shares to short, and they fixed some kind of glitch. I found out from their customer service there was some kind of a glitch where stocks were easy to borrow that should not have been easy to borrow. Because I could short literally any stock for like the first year or whatever of having an account there. I could short anything. It didn't matter how low float it was or how much of momentum stock it was. I could short it, which is crazy because typically you're lucky and you got to have a lot of brokerage accounts to find shares to short of certain stocks. But over there, from some glitch, I don't know if it was my account or a lot of people's or what, but they ended up telling me in an email because they fixed it. And then all of a sudden I couldn't short anything. I'm like, man, that's my shorting account. That's why I love CMEG. I can go over there and short anything. If the market's going down, I just go over there and short. Now I can't do it. And they said, yeah, about that. That was kind of a glitch. There was a whole bunch of easy to borrow stocks that should have been hard to borrow. So we kind of fixed that. That was kind of depressing. But still, you can still borrow more over there than I can at E-Trade anyway. So it's good for that. No PDT, so you can trade freely. The platform's really good. Let's see what else. They have hotkeys and hot buttons. I really like the hot buttons. They can get you into trouble, so you got to be careful. But I do like the hot buttons where it's just one mouse click to buy 500 shares something like that on the ask or on the bid or whatever you want to set it up as. So anyway, there's a lot of things that I like about CMEG. Many things. Honestly, pretty much everything except for the fees. If they came out and said that they're going to do zero commissions and stuff like E-Trade and TD Ameritrade and a bunch of the bigger brokers, I'd be all in on that. I'd make a whole new video about how they're the best broker ever. Everybody should switch there. Why is anybody trading anywhere else? I'd be all in on it. But it's hard for me to pay tons and tons of fees compared to what other brokers are charging. That's my take on it. Oh, that was a little rant, I know. Sorry. Nothing good today. You're right, Mr. X. Just not a very good day. Yesterday too. Just one of those weeks so far. Trade Volt, check it out. Tell me what you think. Okay. You're welcome, Joe. Bought TLRY at 62. Worst mistake ever. Any thoughts on TLRY? Okay, TLRY. Man, the pot sector got crushed. I'm with you, though. I bought SNDL. That was one I cut a piece of the other day. I tried to, it's down big again today. Another 12%, almost, 12.5% today. That thing, man, getting crushed. I'm sure TLRY is probably the same. All the pot sector stocks, their charts look the same. So yeah, it's I would say there would be support at the tops there, this top there. So hopefully it's bottomed out, but you never know. Sometimes when you get these like Eiffel Tower looking crazy charts, sometimes they do fade all the way back down where they came from. But I'm with you. I'm hoping that it kind of holds this little bit of a trend. The market's not doing it any favors. If we zoomed in a little bit here, you could kind of see maybe, nope, it's even kind of below that too. I don't know. Would have liked to have at least seen it hold that trend. Hard to say. I hope it recovers for you. Let's zoom out on this. Yeah. That's a tough one. It's one of those charts where, there's not a lot to go on. If we zoom out, here's 2 years. So big fade, curls up, gains back a bunch of that. Now it's coming back down. Maybe, perhaps, let's see, where's this area at? Yeah, so as we can see, that's just a rough guideline I just threw in there. But as you can see, it did kind of bounce in an area where there could be support right here, right here, right here. A little bit of consolidation here. So with any luck, it'll hold above that general support area and then maybe continue up from there. The pot sector, all the sectors, I don't know. If you haven't been trading very long, you might not have noticed, but everything is very cyclical. So you'll have like the pot sector will be really hot, then it'll fade down, kind of die off a little bit. Then there'll be like the Bitcoin sector will be running, or the vaccination COVID sector will be running. Then we'll go back to the pot sector as the whatever news comes out makes people start thinking about legalization on a countrywide level for the U.S., things like that. Then it'll kind of shift back to pot. So I would never count it out considering that. I mean, if it hopefully can hold up around that general consolidation area, and then maybe we can see the pot sector pick up as Bitcoin's kind of been dying down. It's been taking a big dive, like the markets actually worse than the markets have. So maybe Bitcoin will die down a bit as the hot sector. For a while there, that was kind of the hot thing. If you notice, like, you never want to buy. Little lesson for anybody that's brand new to trading. If you're hearing a ton about something, don't buy it. Like Bitcoin, that's all you've been hearing the last week. If you've been paying any attention to any kind of financial news or anything like that, all you've been hearing about is how Bitcoin, is going to the moon. Everybody's talking about it. And if you buy it then, it's almost a guarantee it's going to drop right after that. So then you're sitting there, I don't know. It's kind of like an old trading saying, buy the rumor, sell the news, blah blah blah. But when everybody's talking about something, and you got like the peak interest, just like we had with Bitcoin when it was nearing 20,000, and everybody was talking about it. Yeah, if you bought it pushing 20,000, you would have had to hold it all the way down to like 3,000 in order for it to ever come back up to where you could get out of it or make a profit on it. So that's a lot of pain to hold through. So anyway, the moral of the story is, if you're hearing a ton about a stock or a sector or something, don't buy it then. At that point, it's almost too late. If you see it on CNBC, it's probably too late. You can take a little piece of it here and there, like as a day trader, but don't hold it very long, because typically if everybody's talking about it, it's about to fall down. Another one was the pot sector. I mean, you can see exactly what we're talking about right there. TLRY, SNDL, all these charts will look the same. I guarantee if I type in ACB, Aurora Cannabis, same thing. All the charts look the same. So, it's just the sector. The sector was super hot. Things were crazy. And then it was like all the money moved over to Bitcoin type plays, and all of this sold off all the way back down to earth. So gotta wait for it to get hot again, I guess. Diamond hands on the TLRY. Yeah. So I guess long hold seems like a good company though. Exactly. I don't know anything about it. Biggest mistake you can make too is selling, like this morning. Perfect example. This morning, if you were holding, the worst mistake you can do is sell in the washout at open, because what this is on every stock, any, you name the stock, whatever, Tesla, any stock you put in there, these are all washing out mostly because of stop losses and orders from the day before, stuff like that. It all goes through. So do not set, in my opinion anyway, if you're going to hold a stock for several days as a swing, don't set a stop loss, because, wake up and watch it if you've got enough of it that you're worried about it to where you can sell it. I'm really big on stop losses. I love stop losses. I use them all the time. But as far as like stop losses overnight, you'll end up waking up and your stock, at market open, your Tesla stock sold down here at 635 just to watch it immediately rebound back to 700. So don't be that guy, and don't panic sell if the market's washing out like that. Sometimes it doesn't come back if there's a reason for it. Something, some huge news is announced and something goes, like the Workhorse. That's why I haven't bought the Workhorse dip buy, because there's a reason for that, and I don't know enough about the stock to know if this is a detrimental thing that's going to cause it to not bounce or not. But as far as morning washouts, if you notice the whole market's washing out as the market open, just diamond hands it, because most likely there's going to be a bounce. There's almost always a bounce. If the whole market is washing out at open, it almost always bounces, at least some. So don't be the guy that sells at the bottom. I know it's scary, but we're all in that together. It is scary as you watch your account dwindle away, but hold it. At least look for a bounce to get out on if you want to get out. Anyway, back to, so yeah, my final thought on TLRY would be to hold it at this point if you have conviction in it. So there's a chance that it ends up, this is just a rough trend line guideline that I kind of threw in there, but somewhere in that range. If the stock, I don't know where you bought it at, but if it can stay somewhere in that, let's see what it's at there, somewhere around 21, 22, 23. If it could stay above that area and kind of consolidate there, and then the pot sector can get hot again, there's nothing that says that can't curl back up. So if you're holding it at this point, you've already held it. Look how far it's come. So if you're holding it at this point, I would say, if you believe in the company and you think it's a good, solid company, you've looked at the financials and all that kind of stuff, then just stay in it for a while. If you're shaky on it and you're not sure about it, then get out of it. Don't ever stay in a stock if you're not sure about it. If you think you might need to sell or you might want to get out of it, just get out of it. A lot of times your gut feeling is right. CTRM. You check out CTRM. That's one I had. I think that was one yeah. That one was one that I was holding that up in here thinking it was going to curl back up, and it might have if it wasn't for today. The down days in the stock market really kind of screw the charts up. So if we see here, it kind of popped up, consolidated, and then ran again, came down, consolidated. So I bought some of it thinking it might curl back up, and then I ended up shaving off. I had a few thousand shares of it. I shaved off a couple thousand shares, and then ended up taking it off at this bounce right here because it's just kind of destroyed the chart. It is bouncing up nicely now, so that's good. Kind of coming back. It's just hard to say whenever this is just the overall market basically screwing up all the charts. So what's it going to do now? I don't know. It's hard to say from a technical standpoint. I'd kind of drawn like a rough trend line that I wanted it to stay above. So when it started dropping below that, I got worried and thought, hey, this could be a stock that fades back down from whence it came, and I don't want to hold it through all that pain. I'd rather just get out and get back in if I want. So it's hard to say at this point. It's kind of, to me, it looks more bearish, but I don't know much about this company either. So it's kind of another one where, do you know much about it? If you know a lot about it and there's a bunch of news planning on coming out or something coming down the pipeline, I don't research a lot of companies. I'm more either a day trader or sometimes a little bit of a swing trader, but I don't spend a ton of time researching companies and holding long term on stuff like this, so I don't know much about it. If you think it's a good company, it's solid, and it's got some stuff coming out, then it might be worth a hold because it has rebounded. It's up. At this point, it recovered all of that. So it's trying. It's trying to not fail. I just bailed on it because from a technical standpoint, I wanted it to curl up here and then, go back up and break out. And instead, it failed and went down kind of below my trend area and looked like it, and it was below $1 at that point too. So yeah, I got a little bit scared on it and got out on the bounce, and it kind of broke the chart down when you get this big gap down right here. I don't like that. Anyway, I wanted it to break up. It kind of broke down at that point. I just got out of it myself. But depends what you think of the company. If you know something about it, it kind of depends on your plan too. So much of trading is like your plan. I always tell people, like my friends, when we talk about trading, you got to have a plan when you go in because that's how you know where to cut the stock. And sometimes you're going to cut it in the wrong place. Sometimes you're going to take profit at the wrong place. That's all just part of trading. But if you don't have a plan, you end up holding a stock like SNDL from the top all the way to the bottom. If you have no plan, then there's nothing in your mind. There's no set stop loss. There's nothing even in your mind as a stop loss. So you hold a stock until you're way in over your head, and you're praying and watching StockTwits and hoping that there's some kind of hope of news to come out. So don't be in that position. Have a plan. My plan on this was for it to consolidate, then curl up. It didn't do that, so I cut it. So that's why plans are important. It could still come up here and run and go to $2 and make me look like an idiot. That happens all the time. So you never know. They could put out news tomorrow that is, amazing news. Kind of like what was that one, THCB? I was just talking about a little bit ago. If I was looking at this, at any point in time before today, this thing's dying. It's just fading off. It's especially today, gapping way down, and you would say, "Hey, that stock's done." Then they come out with amazing news, and it all of a sudden everybody that was underwater in here is now making money. So you never know. But I pretty much trade on technicals, and I try to have a plan when I enter every stock, and that's the only thing that keeps me sane is that I bought this as a dip buy. So if the dip buy doesn't work, I get out when it makes a new low. I bought this as a consolidation that's going to curl and break out. If it doesn't do that, then I cut it and get out. I bought this as a flat top breakout or a bull flag breakout or whatever the case may be. If that doesn't work, then I get out. It's the only thing that keeps me sane and keeps me from being the trader I was 4 or 5 years ago, where I would hold and hold and hold, and then I'd be down $3,000 or $4,000 and looking on StockTwits and looking for any good information I could find and praying it comes back up and I don't have to eat that loss. So have a plan going in. That's my advice on every stock. And as far as CTRM goes, it's kind of just a victim of the market. When the market is having big down days, sometimes it screws up the technical charts that we have going on. Everything that we have setting up can get thrown out the window by market down days. Oh, thoughts on UVXY. Oh, my old friend UVXY. I've had this a couple different times. Whoops. As like a hedge against the market. But because to me anyway, personally, I've felt like the market has been overbought for a while. I've talked about it in other live streams because of the fact that we had the huge pandemic, and then it recovers all that and has just pushed new all-time high after new all-time high. And that to me didn't make a whole lot of sense because it's basically propped up by stimulus packages and the Fed's making rates almost zero, buying junk bonds, all the different things that have propped it up that I've always felt like sooner or later it's going to catch up with it. It's going to drop. And anyway, I had UVXY a couple different times. For that thought, I thought, if the market goes south and all my other stocks are going south, my UVXY will be a good hedge, make money on it. And the first time I did make money on it, which was, let's just zoom in a bit more with it. Actually, yeah, I guess this is good. I'll just zoom in a little bit more. So yeah, I made money with it on this move here. I was holding it, kept fading, popped up, didn't sell it, came down, popped up again, sold it and made money. It came down to that same base, around $10. I bought it again, thinking the same thing. Hey, I made money on it. It'll pop up again. But then it broke down and started making new lows. At that point, I think I cut it at like 9:30 or so. It was somewhere, yeah, I think it was around 9:30 because it was when, like right in here somewhere. Because I remember after I cut it and was like, okay, I don't know where the bottom's going to be. I better stop trying. And then it popped up right after that, and I was like, man, That's how it goes, you know. Right back to $10. Anyway, so my thoughts on it are the reason I'm not still holding it. I don't think it's not technically a perfect hedge to the markets, obviously. So it's based on volatility and whatnot, but it's kind of a hedge to the markets. But to me, it doesn't move proportionately. That's why I'm not holding it. Like today, for instance, you know, this thing on a couple of down days, to me, should have been back up over $10. And I have a friend who's holding this right now, by the way. Shout out to my buddy Dustin if he's watching this. But the reason I'm not holding it anymore is because it doesn't, to me, it's disproportionate. Like the market's had a couple of down days, but this thing's still down under $9. It barely even cracked 10 today. To me, it should have been back up there in the 11s, if not the 12s, on the last couple of days. And so I quit using it as a hedge because it doesn't really have a bottom anymore. I think it's making 52 or like all-time lows. I could be wrong. Let me see. Yeah, these are all the 11s. So yeah, we're at all-time lows, which kind of makes sense with the market near all-time highs like it has been. But still, there's no bottom. So I don't like that. I don't like holding anything that has no support underneath it because you never know how low it could go. Just like, I cut it at 9 and it's been as low as I cut it at 9.36 or 9.40 and it's been down 50 cents from there or so. No big deal. But still. And I could have got out of it, but I didn't know at the time. There's no bottom. There's no support. So when I got rid of that, I was thinking, hey, who knows if this goes to 6 or 5? And I still feel that way about it now, where at least now you have a little bit of a base in here, some consolidation and some base around 9. But still, I don't think it's a very good hedge as far as against the markets because it doesn't move as proportionately as I would like it to anyway. I would have liked to have seen it pop back up in the 10 area and actually have a nice move whenever the market's having sell-off days. Personal opinion. So yeah, and I think that is also a byproduct of the fact that there's no bottom to it. So when you got no bottom and you got no base, no support, then people are shakier on it. It's a lot more likely to get sold off because people are a little bit scared and nervous. Whereas if you got a nice level of base, there's something to risk off of, so then people feel a little more comfortable holding it. At this point, we're still down here near the area where it could make all-time lows. Not a good feeling for people that are holding it. That's why I cut it. Probably won't buy it again because of that. It is a frustrating stock to hold. Anyway, that's all I got on that. What else? Got anything else to talk about? I've been on here for 48 minutes, pushing an hour. Time flies when you're having fun. What else is moving? Somebody had put something else in there, but I missed it. Oh, I don't know if you can hear my kids yelling in the other room either. I felt like there was a stock somebody told me was up after hours that I missed. Definitely feeling bad for... I was just reading back through some of these, and the Master's Dad one, I just realized that you said you bought it at 62. I didn't realize where you bought it at, and now I'm was reading back through that. That is not. I feel for you, man. I've been there. Assuming you're a man, been there, done that. So buying up there at 62, so basically the worst possible time before the whole sector washed out. Hopefully, really hope that curls back up for you and you can end up getting out at somewhat of a manageable loss, because we've all been there. We've all been there, done that. Anybody that's traded very long has bought the top of a stock and then held it way too long. But that's how you learn. You put your hand on the hot stove enough times, and you learn that, hey, that stings. I should probably stop doing that. Next time, most likely, you won't be in the hot sector buying up there near the top. You'll be thinking about this thing has gone from the $7 or $8 to almost 70, and you won't be chasing it. And that's the problem with stocks like GME. By the way, just to go on a slight little thing, the problem with stocks like GME, and don't get me wrong, I love that tons of hedge funds and the man got blown up. I think it's awesome. But the problem is, if people start thinking that this is going to happen all the time, then a lot of retailers will lose a lot of money. Because this is a big combination of social media, new traders coming in, a lot of people that are brand new to trading and don't know what they're doing. So if you start seeing stocks like this that go to the absolute, they're not even at the moon, they're at like Pluto. I mean, insane, going from where it did to, at one point it was like almost $600 in pre-market or after hours. So anyway, the downside to that is that if you're new to trading and you see stocks like that, then inevitably there's people that are buying this up here, just like our friend over here in the chat that had bought, didn't know any better and bought TLRY at the top. There's people that bought GameStop up at $500 and $600, and it's now at $43. So the downside to that is there's a lot of new traders that end up losing their butt on this as well. It's not just hedges that can lose a ton of money. So you see stocks that are going parabolic and absolutely crazy, and you start thinking when another stock goes up, hey, this is the one, you jump on it and, chasing it when it's already up 200% or something, or 300% in a matter of a few days. You jump on it thinking it's going up 1,000%, and then it goes back down where it came from, and all of a sudden you're holding a 300% loss. That's the downside to stocks like that. Arlo. Oh, I think that's the one that's what I was looking for. There you go. That's a nice big move. Nice. 680 to 880 at one point, so $2 at one point. Up 20% as of right now. That's another one that, excuse me. It's another one of those ones that can give people, if you're holding one and your diamond hands on something like CTRM or whatever, that the last couple of days have really busted your chart. Well, hopefully that company puts out some, like this one put out earnings. That's why it shot up. It shot up because it beat on earnings, beat by 10 cents, beat on revs. So, gotta watch those earnings. That's a good thing, because if you're looking at this from a technical standpoint, you would see this fading all the way back down, and you'd be, hoping that it ends up holding this support from this area that was resistance at one point, that would turn into support over here, and then it rockets off of it. But I mean, overall, without today, you'd be wondering if this was just going to keep fading down. So it's kind of a situation similar to CTRM or a lot of other stocks like that, where you never know. I'm not trying to give anybody false hope, because that's what StockTwits is for. If you want false hope, just go to StockTwits. StockTwits.com. You type in your ticker. You can find loads of people, mostly bag holders, that are pumping up the hopium to make you feel better about your bag you're holding. And I'm not saying, I'm not talking smack, because I've been there myself many, many times. I've been on StockTwits the first few years of trading, where I'm like, looking for any hope that I might not have to take this multi-$1,000 loss. We've all been there, but anyway, it's really good for the hopium drug. But anyway, so yeah, this chart was looking pretty bad, and then boom, got some decent earnings, shot up a couple bucks. Now it's got some life. Still not looking great. It's got, a lot of resistance ahead of it. It's up in this nice consolidation area, but that's a heck of a lot better than being down here at $6. So if you're in that, you'll take it. Would I buy it up here? That would be the question. For one thing, I'd want to know what the guidance is. If you don't know anything about earnings, guidance, a lot of times guidance can trump earnings. So with stocks, typically what you have is you have the earnings, then you'll have the revenues, and then you'll have the per share earnings, the revenues, and then guidance. Sometimes will come out at the same time. Sometimes they won't even provide guidance. Sometimes guidance will be provided on a conference call at later on that day. So you always got to watch out for that guidance because they'll slip that in on you. They'll beat on, a lot of times that trumps everything. I can't tell you how many times I bought a stock on earnings because it was beating on it's beat on earnings, beat on revenue. I'd buy it thinking this is going to run for a couple of days. Then they'd have a conference call or whatever, and they'd adjust their guidance for the next quarter or for the next couple of quarters, and they would say something like, we expect not to be where we expected to be as far as revenues, and our profit is probably going to fall a little bit. It's going to be off by a couple percent compared to what we thought because of X reason, and that guidance erases everything that the earnings beat gained. So anybody new to trading that's watching this, watch out for the guidance. A lot of times they will hold that back until the conference call also. So watch out for that. I don't know anything about this one, so I'm not talking about this one specifically. I haven't read into it or whatever. I'm just saying if you're buying a stock on earnings or based on earnings, try to find information on the guidance or if they're gonna have a conference call later on, etc. Because sometimes they will have the earnings that's great and then destroy it with downgrading their guidance. Food for thought. Definitely use StockTwits for hope. Had to stop using it and be real with myself. Me too, buddy. Been there, done that. It is a good place to find a lot of news too. I use StockTwits for news. There's times that I jump over on StockTwits because they do provide a lot of hopium, but with that hopium comes news. You got to make sure it's not regurgitated news because a lot of times people are trying to provide hope, and so they're putting on their, trying to pump their stock with news that's regurgitated. It could be a week old or a month old or a year old, and they'll put it on StockTwits. So you got to watch out for that. But it is a good place to find news. If you can't find news anywhere else and a stock is popping up big, you can go to StockTwits, and a lot of times there's people talking about it. Yeah, it's up because of so-and-so on Twitter, some kind of rumor or something going on, and then it'll, you can kind of figure out what's going on with it. Because rumors and things you won't see as much on E-Trade News or some of the main news sites, but StockTwits people will be that follow all. If somebody's really invested in that stock, they're following all the people on Twitter that are involved with it, so they'll see it and post it on there to pump up their stock. It's a good way to sometimes find news. It has its place. There's also a lot of people on there that are selling hopium to people that are holding bags and really should cut their loss, but instead they hold it longer because they were watching StockTwits. Yeah, we've all been there. What was the other one? Thanks for those of you that have hit the like. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. What was the one you talked about? Somebody put one in there a minute ago. RMCT, that was it. Oh, RMCT. Nope, that one doesn't work for me anyway. Did I miss something? I'm going to check on my Tesla baby. Up to 718. That a baby. Keep going for daddy. Come on. Keep going. I'd love to see you up here in the 760s. That would be perfect. I'm probably going to sell in the 740s or maybe just below 750. Just have to wait and see if it can get there. It may not even get there. Or I may diamond hands it even longer. I don't know. I'm not I don't know. A lot of times when you get this big of a move down, you'll get a bounce, and then sometimes you'll get more fade before you get more of a move up. So I wouldn't rule out. Tesla does have a huge following of believers, which is why I knew it would bounce. And I wish that I had been awake during this and not sleeping like an idiot, because I would have bought a lot more of it in that washout. This is one that you can count on. If you get a washout like that, it's pretty likely that there's going to be a bounce. So if you looked at this thing's, not only has it gone down for several days, but it completely washed out from 780 all the way to almost $600. So you can bet that with the following Tesla has and how much people love it, it's valued at like, I forget what it was, but one of my examples that I always give to my friends about how the stock market is not logical. People are always like, oh, the stock market, this and that valuation, and I'm buying this because it should be here, and blah blah blah. Yeah, that's great, except the stock market is not logical. It's not. I'm sorry, but Tesla is worth like 11 times or something GM the last I checked. I'd have to go back and do the math, but the last I looked, it was worth like 11 times what GM is worth. You see GM dealerships everywhere. There's GMs in like half your neighbor's driveways, GM products. But somehow Tesla that you see, they are getting way more common, and it is a futuristic company and all that, and I see the value in it. There's a lot of value in it. I'm just saying, is it worth 11 times what GM is worth? That seems crazy to me. Seems completely illogical. But the stock market does not care about my logic. It does what it wants. And hopefully it just keeps going up. I don't want logic. I want Tesla to go to the moon. Preferably right now would be good. Back to like 900 right now would be perfect. NNDM. I've looked that one up before recently. Trying to bounce. I really hope the market continues to bounce tomorrow. We don't see another down day that drags everything back down. Everything's getting kind of going again now, trying to bounce, trying to make their moves up. Let's see what we got here. That's today, so yeah, you see every single stock has this flush. And then they all, got the bounce. So you could have bought almost any stock if you timed it right. I do love dip buys, especially opening bell dip buys. And I'm really kicking myself for missing this huge one today, because that is every single stock. You could have literally bought any stock basically at the, a few minutes in after the bell. And then it would have been a great dip buy. Anyway, it's back up near its highs for the day. It's kind of another one. This would be one that I would qualify as the market has kind of screwed it over in a way, because we had a nice kind of curl going. It was kind of holding that trend line up here even yesterday. Not as much yesterday, but I still wouldn't have felt too bad about it. But then we have today where it is green. It's trying to recover, but it's another victim of the market, kind of like CTRM and many others, where this thing was looking to try to hold up and curl and go back and break out past that $18 range. And instead the market all sells off. It takes it with it. And now it kind of has broken down the chart a little bit. Maybe not too much. I mean, it could still come back, but I'm sure you see what I'm saying, where, it starts, the more it comes down, the more it starts looking like backside of the move. less like a curl that's going to head back towards a breakout and more like backside of the move. So then you got to start being careful. Have a plan in place. Is it gonna keep fading down? How much do you believe in it? How long do you want to hold it? What's your plan for it? All those kinds of things. Because yeah, it's a possibility the market bounces, and it bounces. It has recovered. It is up near its highs today. That's a good thing. I'm trying to fill that little bit of a gap. It looks like. Let's zoom in just actually first I'm going to zoom out because I want to see. So it's come down a lot, curled. Maybe, what do we got there? 1244. I would have liked to have seen a hold above that, where that support was over here in this area, but it did not. It's okay though. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure you see what I'm saying. Like you got your move. It pulls back a little bit, but it's still holding that trend. And move, and it pulls back, still holding that trend. Exaggerated move, pulls back a little more exaggerated, but still kind of holding that. Then we got a pullback. Now at some point we're starting to pull back a little too much, so things start getting a little more iffy. The market kind of screwed the chart up. So now it's a question of, could it pop back up and keep going? Yeah, of course it could. I've just showed a couple of different examples of stocks that have done that. It took news to get them to do that, so maybe they would need some news. But, I mean, overall, if you're going to hold it long term, is it a huge problem? Not necessarily. But it's starting to get that way. It's starting to look like backside of the move, and then it becomes a fine line between here and then getting down here in this support, and then does it hold this mid-$8, $9 support, or does it keep going down to this mid-$6 support? Just don't want to find yourself in that SNDL or any other stock situation where you hold it way too long, unless that's your plan. If your plan is to hold it forever, then it doesn't matter what it does. It can come down, it can pull back, you can buy more, all that stuff. But if your plan is to just hold it short term, then trade your plan, make sure it doesn't go against your plan, it hasn't pulled back too much, and if it has, then you just cut it. Don't want to be holding it too long unless if it's your plan to hold it for a long time, that's one thing. If it's not your plan to hold it for a long time, then you got to be careful, because before you know it, it could be down another $1, another $2, and then you're sitting there trying to decide what to do. Then you are holding it long term or taking a big loss. Let's see, what else? I wanted to check on CCIB again. Hanging around that 3660 area. This is why I like certain indicators also. I use VWAP, the 200 and the 50 on a couple of different time frames, and I find that stocks react to those the most. That's why I use them. And they react, sometimes a stock will react on the 1 minute chart to one trend line, or not one trend line, one indicator, and another stock will react more to a different indicator on a different time frame. So I kind of look at a few different time frames, a few different indicators, and see what the stock reacts to. This is kind of, hanging right around the 1 minute, right above the 200 and just right at the 50. We'll see what happens. What was another? I wanted to check. Carnival, CCL, recovery stock as they call it. These recovery stocks. I guess that's because they're recovering from like the coronavirus and murdered the stock, and now they're recovering as the virus gets better and more under control. Still looking decent. I hold some of this. I'm hoping for it to continue its move up, because it's kind of broken out past what would have been the previous resistance there and there. So now I'm looking to see if it can continue its move up. If it does not and it starts heading back down south, I'll just cut it, because I don't want to hold it forever. So I don't want to hold it all the way back down here to the 20 consolidation. It's just my plan. Like I said, everybody's got their own plan. Have your plan. Trade your plan. Have your plan, trade your plan. Always know where your entry is and where your exit is. So when it gets to that point, you're not pulling your hair out, checking stock twits and doing nothing, sitting on your hands and waiting to see what happens as it keeps dropping on you. Just trade your plan. If this thing starts dropping, I'll just get out of it. If it goes back up, I can get back in it. Even if you're under the PDT, don't let that control you. That's my biggest problem with the PDT also is the mental side of that. It puts a complete mental barrier on traders where you don't want to waste a trade. Well, if I sell that, then I'm wasting a trade, so I'm going to hold it overnight, and then it gaps down on you. Stuff like that. I don't know. They put it in place supposedly to help people out, to mitigate, like a seatbelt on traders. Only I think it hurts a lot of traders. That one's hanging around 17. This one's hanging around 718, 719. That's good. I got some friends holding Torch, so I've been keeping an eye on that. This is a tough one to predict. I'm holding this for a bounce, but it is a really tough one to predict because it's so... I mean, look at that ridiculous gap down. What's it going to do from there? Is it going to fade all the way back down here in the 20s? Or is it going to bounce up and try to fill this insane gap? We'll see. To be continued. We do have stimulus news coming also that will probably pump the stock market, or I would expect it to. They had another proposal that they expect the House to pass in the next few days, probably like Friday or Saturday, or since it's Congress, who knows. But probably the House will pass that stimulus package. Then it'll be sent to the Senate. We'll see what happens over there. I would think since Democrats, part of what they ran on was, a lot of people expected stimulus checks to be there immediately, and here we are, and they are not. So we'll see what happens, if that will be something they can get together here on, and if so, I expect it to pump the market if they pass that and the Senate passes it, and it looks promising that there's going to be a stimulus package passed. Typically that will pump the market like it has multiple times before. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe we'll get to new all-time highs if we can still hang around up here and not start falling below the 50 moving average and entering a larger pullback. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got. Unless you guys got anything else, I'm going to get off of here and go find some dinner. It's almost 6 o'clock where I live, so that's either time to drink some beers or eat dinner or both. Especially after today, like today, it's probably going to be a Crown night or a beer night. Didn't realize that much of a loss, only a couple $100 when everything was said and done between all the accounts, but not a good day for any of my longer term positions. I'm sure you guys all feel the pain today. Everybody's feeling the pain. Come on tomorrow. Let's see if we can keep the recovery going tomorrow and get a nice bounce. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Recently switched to Crown Black. I was drinking Crown Vanilla for a while till somebody was like, hey, this is so smooth. And they were right. I think it was my little brother, actually. So, delicious. I would drink some right now, but YouTube would frown upon that. I think I've done it in other videos anyway, but yeah. Don't want to get demonetized or, get a naughty spanking from YouTube for drinking on camera. Okay, well, thank you all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys didn't lose too terribly much money today, and tomorrow's a new day. Hoping for some continued bounce, maybe some moves up in the market the rest of the week. Hopefully, would love to see everything pick back up throughout the rest of the week. Maybe I'll do another live stream or another video. We'll see. And I would love to see things end on a higher note and then have the House pass stimulus at the end of the week. Maybe see some, some upside and some new highs next week or something would be awesome. Have to wait and see. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, liking, all those wonderful YouTube algorithm things. Have a great evening. Peace.